Hi everybody, welcome back, or hello if you're new. I'm Feb, and today we're going to make our own leaping toadstools, hopefully. So this is the box. It came from the Lonely Broomstick. It cost $12.99. I'm sure you can get it other places as well. It equates to about 15 bucks. And yeah, that looks, it just, honestly, as soon as I saw it, I really want to make those toadstools. So, is this the most niche video I've ever done? Maybe it could be. So first of all, let me show you what we get in the box. And there are an array of items. Here's the pot. It's the smallest little tiny terracotta pot. And there is a tiny little label to go on it. So cute. Is that going to focus? It will do later. And then to secure your mushroom toadstool to the pot, you get a lolly stick, some moss to decorate the top of the pot, a brush, an artist brush, and the clay. So I haven't touched clay since I was at school, and that's got to be, 122 and a half years ago, approximately. So this is going to be fun. It is quite squishy. I'm excited. And then naturally, instructions, because, I'm for sure going to need them. So I will put on my brainy specs so that I can read it, and I'll put you into a top-down view so that we can see what's going on. All right. Okay, so the first thing it says is fill the terracotta pot firmly with kitchen foil and press down to make a stable base for the toadstool, leaving a centimetre gap in the inside. So that's, about that much-ish. And okay, let's do that first. I just went down to my kitchen and picked up this stuff. It is a super cheap kitchen roll, Bako foil or aluminium foil, whatever you want to call it, aluminum. And so I'm going to do that. If you didn't want to waste your kitchen foil, or you didn't have enough, or didn't have any, you could use something else instead, couldn't you? Like little pebbles or gravel or something. Okay, so I just scrunched up some bits of foil, which I'm going to pop in to my pot. I don't feel like, I mean, obviously this isn't adding any weight at all to it. Yeah, it's still super light. Oh, I think that bit's a bit too big. Okay, so that's kind of even-ish. Not really, but, sufficient probably. We've certainly got our 1 centimetre. So now what does it say? It says, use a little clay to cover the foil and make an even layer. All right. This is the bit I've been looking forward to. Okay, this is covered in about 20 wraps of cling film. Weird, it has no scent. Do you know, it feels like putty. I don't know if you've ever put in a window, but if you have, then this is exactly what this is like. All right, then. So I'm just going to turn this into a disc. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that on there and see how I get on with it. I need some more to hide the edges. There seems like a lot of clay here, but then I might be wrong about that, I don't really know how far it's going to go, but we'll soon find out. Oh, I can feel the foil sliding around in there. Okay, I feel like it needs to be a bit deeper, a bit better secured. I mean, this stuff is going to air dry, right? So you don't need to oven it or put it in your own oven or anything. Ooh. All right, that'll do. Okay, that's a fairly decent layer. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to cover it with moss or whatever else you've got. So this little lollipop that they've given us, I make candles as well, and one of the candle things that I use is this. It goes across your pot to hold your wick, and that might be a bit too long, but I feel like this is going to be an awfully dumpy toadstool. What do you think? This one is going to be a bit taller, maybe a bit more elegant. Let's see, I'll chop off a bit. There we go. I think that's slightly better. I feel like, you know, I'll be able to see my toadstool a bit better, especially in profile. Okay, I'll just cover that up for a second and we'll go back to the instructions, which say put the stick in the middle to create a support and using some of the clay, create the stem. There's a big air hole in the middle of it. I can feel it. It's weird. Do I even want the stick? I want air holes. Do you know what? I'm going to dispense with the stick for the moment because I feel like I can do a better job. Listen to me telling the instructions that I know best. I'm going to make a little base like this. I mean, after all, there's always glue, right? If worse comes to worse. Okay, I quite like the look of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this little tiny bit that I cut off, pop that in the bottom, and then pop that in the top. There we go. Let's smooth it down. I might use a little bit of water underneath just to try and connect it. But like I say, if it does come out, it's no big deal. We'll glue it in. Okay, so that's got to air dry. And I think that it would probably be better if I just made the cap separate and then glued them together rather than trying to do it all in one fell swoop. Let me read what the instructions say. So onto the cap then. I feel like this clay is drying out quite quickly. I also think I'm going to have loads of clay left over. So I'm going to wrap that back up again. Squidge these two bits together and make our cap. And I'm going to do it separately from that, and I'm going to let them dry separately, and then that'll make this easier for me to paint. I will paint the bottom green and then add the moss to it, and then I'll add some colour to this stem. Oh, look at my fingers. Right then, so I feel, I don't know, what do I want? Do I want to just stick a finger in there, I guess? And this is a bad time to have long fingernails, actually. All right, so I don't want my cap to be absolutely perfect in every way because toadstools and mushrooms aren't, are they? Is that a good size? Oh, that's a great size. Oh, I could have a little one, couldn't I, coming out the side there? So that looks kind of thusly. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make another little one as well. Okay, for the underneath, I'm just going to grab something like this. I mean, good Lord, how old is this thing? I've had it for years and I use it for everything. Paint stirrer, glue applier, you name it. It gets used for everything. So even though you won't see the underneath, in fact, nobody's ever going to see the underneath, I'm going to put in some little gills, or whatever they're called. No idea. And I will actually paint those as well when it's dry. Find a nice beigey brown colour for that. You hear noise in the background, the cats are like, what the hell are you doing now, woman? Feed us. Okay, that'll do. I think that's pretty cool. And the top is pretty cool too. It's a nice uneven shape and I like it. Okay, I'm going to go away, make a smaller one and then leave them to dry and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I have added my second stalk to the pot and have made a second little cap. So we will have two little mushrooms in this pot. Okay, now I need to wait 24 hours for it to dry or thereabouts, and then we can start on some painting. Okay. Okay, day 2, we are back with our dried. It said 24 to 48 hours. I've left it 24, and I'll see how I get on. So it all seems dry enough. I have just had a quick look at it to see if there's any rough bits that I want to get rid of. I've just got a nail file, and you could use sandpaper like an actual professional. Still looks a bit damp inside there, so I don't know. I'll try painting it anyway. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We'll see. And the same in there. Hmm. Okay, well, I don't think that a weak acrylic is going to do it any harm at all. So I have picked out some paints in addition to the ones that came in the packet. So this one is raw sienna, and the purpose of this is I'd like a slightly, mm, what am I trying to say? Rather than just being all red, I'd like to put a little bit of this around the bottom so it fades into a different color, just to make it a little bit more interesting. The green I'm going to use watered down on the base here. That does look nice and dry, just in case the moss isn't quite thick enough, because I don't have much in the way of moss here at home at the moment. So that all you'll see, if there are any sparse areas, is, more green. And then this one, just to add a little tiny bit of detail to the stalks and the underneath. All right, let's get started. That's pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect. I made life difficult for myself by not rolling out the the clay. If I were to have my time over, I would probably use a mini rolling pin and make it nice and flat, but you live and learn. I'm in two minds about whether to, I'm going to do it because I can put a bit of moss or fake grass there. Okay, done. Let's go on to the brown. That's really quite red. I might add a tad of black to that. Okay, and then I'm going to take tissue and dab some of it off so that it's not like a block of colour, but you get a bit of variation with it. Not worrying too much about the edges because I feel like it's not going to be too much of a problem to cover this because it is so thin. Honestly, don't know why I'm bothering, as no one's going to see this. Like my palette, by the way. Paper plate. I have all mod cons in this house. Okay, then I'm going to leave that to dry. Actually, that makes quite a nice mushroom top, doesn't it? Don't you think? Okay, I'm going to leave those to dry and move on to the next thing, which is just to put a few little lines up the stalks. Nothing momentous, just adding a little bit of colour here. Actually, I'm just following the natural lines that I left in the clay pretty much. Just to feather them out a little bit. I mean, this is hardly going to be seen. I honestly don't even know why I'm bothering, but I'm doing it anyway. Just for the fun of the thing. Right then, I will leave all this to dry and then we'll be back to do the tops. Okay, that's nice and dry. So what I've done now is I've just taken some watered down white because those brown streaks were just a bit too hectic. So can you see the difference that's made? Just watering it down and going over it again gives it a really a realistic look, actually. Let's see if I can get it in closer. It's a bit better. Oh man, I need a better camera for this. All right then, so this it will take literally minutes to dry. So I'm going to leave that to one side and we'll get on with the caps. Okay, so this is the paint that came in the set, and I've just put out a little bit of burnt sienna right there. So I'm going to start on the little cap first in case I mess this up. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this. I mean, it's no big deal, is it? I can always cover it up with the red, but I'd rather not if I can help it. So I'm just going around the edge, meeting up with the brown. I don't want a really big, thick layer of this, just enough so that you can see that there's going to be a bit of definition between the top and the bottom of the toadstool. Just going to grab some of these to make my life a bit easier. Some tweezer type things. This is the brush that came with it. It's a nice one, actually. It's only cheap, but I'm sure it'll do. It seems to be doing a nice job so far, that's for sure. All right, then. I've got my edge pretty much how I want it. So now I'm going to switch brushes. And I'm going to go into the... Did I say red? Oh, my God. The yellow, rather, how I want it. And I'm going to go into the red. Just going to blob that all over the top. I feel like this is going to dry down super matte. And I'd like my toadstools to be a bit shiny, I think. So I'm going to see if I can find any. I think I've got some varnish somewhere. You know, for painting, for when you've finished your painting. So I'm going to see if I can find that. Just to give it a nice sheen when it's finished. It's either going to be that or nail varnish, which is another great one for that purpose. Okay, I'm just rinsing off my brush a little bit, getting the main colour off it to try and fade these two into each other a bit. So you just see a little bit that orange. And you could fiddle with this for hours, couldn't you? I mean, you could really have... You could be so precious about it. All right, I think that's pretty good. Certainly good enough. So I'll move on to the second one and leave that to dry. Just touch up my tweezer spot. There we go. And I will leave that. Oh my God, this actually looks like a mushroom from where I'm sitting. You could eat this thing. And I'm just feathering in underneath to make sure that there's no nasty white spots of the clay looking through. Okay, and then onto the red. And I'm putting a much thicker layer on the top part than I am on the bottom. I'm going to have so much paint left over. I mean, you don't need to buy the kit, do you? Not trying to talk the Lonely Broomstick out of business, but you could pick up all of these items just on Amazon or Shein, Temu, any of those places. Air drying clay and a bit of paint, a little terracotta pot from your garden centre, and away you go, you know? And I'm just doing the same thing, thinning out the paint and rubbing it over the top. Nice. All right, I will leave that to dry and then we will think about spots, how to achieve them. Okay, so here's a picture of a leaping toadstool. The instructions say to basically make little round discs and stick them on out of the clay. I'm not sure I want round bits though, because to me these look very 3D, like they're actually sticking out a bit. So I think I'm going to use the clay and just pull tiny bits off and let them air dry, and then perhaps attach them with a bit of glue after painting. So what I'm doing is just taking tiny bits off of the a little bit of clay, putting them to one side, and I will let them dry, and then I will stick them onto my mushroom caps. I think that's the way I'm going to go about this. Some of these are a bit large, but this way it'll give them a bit of texture and dimension and make them actually, you'll be able to feel them underneath your fingers. Okay, so I have scraped off all the little bits that I think I'm going to need for the two shrooms or toadstools, and I'm not even going to bother painting them because the clay dries white. So I'm just gluing, this is just some clear glue, each one into place, and then I will call it done until that's dry, and then I'll varnish it. BRB. Okay, well that took blinking ages, let me tell you. So I have used all those little tiny shreds and glued them on. I also did use a little bit of the white paint actually, just to put, little augmentations, little tiny white dots here and there. So now it's really proper 3D, you can really feel it. I have varnished it with this stuff. You could use pretty much anything, I should think, for acrylic. It's a satin varnish, and this one's by Liquitex. It came from Amazon years ago. It's a really useful thing. So now, whilst those are drying, that's going to take a while, I imagine, I'm going to use the moss and stick it down in here. See what this is like. Wow, okay. That's quite old and dry and bitty. It's got leaves and everything. Oh my god. Okay, so if you didn't want to use moss, and I am considering my options here, you could use something like this. This is gravel. It came from, those war games kits that you can get, people that build dioramas and stuff, which, i.e. me, you can buy all sorts of different things, sand, gravel, all kinds of things. I am contemplating whether I don't think I do want gravel. Okay, let's stick with the moss. Wait, let me see if I've got anything better. One moment. Okay, I have found, also from the same packet of War Games stuff that came from, this little bag of moss here. This is much springier. It's also a much brighter green. I might mix the two and glue it down. I'll probably use this same glue. It's just, I don't even know where this came from. It's just clear glue that probably came from Amazon or some such. Okay, be right back. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. I like the mixture of the two mosses together. So now I just need to wait for these to dry, and then I can attach them, and that's going to be the next fun part. All right, well, I am well pleased at how this turned out. Let me show you the finished product. I'm going to have to hold a tray up. I know it looks weird, but I cannot get the damn thing to focus because it keeps wanting to look at my lemon face. So here it is in its final form. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I just used Bostik to glue it together and to put the label on, and that's it. So for my money, $12.99, well spent. I'm not even kidding. I'm so happy with this. It will go with my other mushrooms and toadstools in the corner on the shelf there, which is still under arrangement right now. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful. Even if you don't, if you say, for example, you're abroad and you can't get hold of one of those kits, you know now what it takes to make these things, and they're super simple and easy. So have fun, and I will see you soon for the next random geek video. Take care and stay safe, everybody.